Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We begin our meeting this evening with a conflict of interest review of for any possible conflicts with the agenda as presented. Mr. Smith?
No conflicts.
No. I have none. No.
No conflict.
No.
And the chair has none. There are no conflicts of interest. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes he or she wishes to make to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Straub.
I would like to change action item 7B, election of planning commission chair and vice chair. Last meeting when this was set up, I was on board with that, but it has been brought to my attention that according to our bylaws, specifically Article 5A3, the vice chair became chair upon the chair vacating that position. Therefore, and specifically explicitly states that we need to elect a new vice chair, but I would like this to be modified to say elect a new vice chair. We don't need to elect a chair. That you've already assumed that position. Elect a new vice chair and whatever other officers may be required if vacancies result.
Would you care to put that in a motion, sir?
So moved. If Ms. Miller has that down, or you need me to repeat?
What other officers need?
Yeah, whatever other officers may be required if vacancies result. So moved is bad form. I apologize for that. I could have just restated the whole thing.
You have a second for that one?
I'll second it, Mayor.
It has been moved by Mr. Straub, seconded by Ms. Mayor, that we change the item 7B, election of the planning commission chair and vice chair, to election of the planning commission vice chair and whatever other officers may be required as a result of the election. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, by voice vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Hearing none, the amendment carries. Is there any other change, addition, deletion, or change to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Mayor.
Mayor moves to approve the agenda as amended. Do we have a support?
Support.
Mr. Straub supports. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Which brings us to our first public comment. Does our member of the public have any comment he wishes to make? Indicating none, we will close public comment and move to item number 7, action items, recommendation of the Township Board on proposed zoning ordinance amendment to section 19.06 F1 to reduce the amount of time messages or images can be displayed on electronic message signs. Does anyone on the planning commission care to open discussion on this subject?
Mr. Chair, are you on number 6, public hearing?
That is correct.
Okay, so you read action item A, what you read.
Then I Sorry, I apologize. I am rather new at this, you might.
That's fine.
You might have picked up on. So, back to the public hearing to amend section 19.06 F1 to reduce the amount of time messages or images can be displayed on electronic message signs. And since this is a public hearing and we do have a member of the public in the audience, do you care to address the planning commission on this subject, sir?
Not at this time, thank you.
Not at this time, thank you. Members of the planning commission, does anyone care to discuss this item? Well, as chair, I will have to, I can open the discussion by admitting that as many years as I have been reading the zoning ordinance, I had never, it had never occurred to me that the 1 hour time that we were requiring for electronic message signs might be just a little bit excessive. How long it's been there, I have no idea, but I do believe that that is an excessive time. It almost defeats the purpose for having an electronic message sign that changes message. So I would be, I think as a township planning commission, we should be open to shortening that time to something more quote unquote reasonable to make these, to allow our signs in the township to be more realistic in what they are trying to convey to the public. Any further comment would be desired. Mr. Troy.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you want this now or in the action item, but I did some kind of simple math and made some assumptions. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference whether it's 30 seconds or a minute. In fact, I don't think 10 seconds even makes a lot of difference. And the reason being, let's kind of take the top down a little bit. So the situation that prompted my initial issue is with a sign relatively new within the past, I don't know, year, maybe a little bit more. Time flies, especially as you get old. But that's in a 30-mile-an-hour posted speed limit area. And at 30 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour is a mile a minute. 30 miles an hour is going to be half a mile a minute. And 30 seconds means it's going to take you, so you've got a half a minute, a half a mile a minute. It's going to be a quarter of a mile that you're going to drive in that 30 seconds. 60 miles an hour, you double that, so you're going to go a half a mile. I don't think that the signs that I'm familiar with, the size that we're talking about, in at least I'm somewhat familiar with, I think you said there were 4, I'm somewhat familiar with 3 of them at least. I don't know that you can even make out what those things are saying if there's text on it beyond, say, 300 feet, maybe not even that far. If there's a graphic, possibly, but when you take into account the topography, especially over on McGregor, there's a curve. Couple of other locations, it's a little bit straighter approach. So working it backwards, visibility, let's call it 300 feet is going to be maximum visibility time at 300 feet at 30 miles an hour is going to be 6.9 seconds, 40 miles an hour, 5.1. And let's say you were going 55 miles an hour, that's 3.7 seconds. So at best, whether it's 10 seconds or whether it's a minute, I don't think anybody is going to see more than 2 display changes. If it started as soon as they could see it, they're only going to see 1. But, given the timing, they're going to see, part of 1 and then the beginning of whatever 2 was. So on that basis, I don't think what's in front of us makes a whole lot of difference. If somebody has a better basis for choosing a number, I can certainly agree with whatever you bring up, but yeah, clearly an hour doesn't make any sense. A couple of minutes, I don't think makes any sense to me. And given the work that Fletcher has done with his research, I'm comfortable that 30 minutes puts us not only in something logical.
If I
for
may
the-
interrupt.
Yes, sir.
You said 30 minutes. Did you
30,
mean
I'm sorry, 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it puts us, kind of in the neighborhood of those around us. So that one, I think, is a good logical number. But if somebody felt real strongly about a minute, far be it for me to argue over it. I think it's of little consequence.
Thank you, Mr. Straub. Anyone else?
I looked at what Fletcher had provided here and took, it basically just added the times together and to see what the average is. And if you include all of them, it's like 34 seconds. If you take out the high and the low, because 6 seems really short, 2 seems long, then it's like 20 seconds. So I think 30 seconds seems reasonable to me.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer.
Did Fletcher get any input from your sign owners?
No, I reached out to the 4 sign owners and did not hear back. We do have one in attendance today, but they're here to watch and see what happens.
Thank you, Fletcher. Any further comments?
Yeah, I agree with the 30 seconds. It seems like even if you catch the tail end of the end of 30 seconds, you're only going to see a max of 2 different displays. And then even 1 minute seems to be on the long end in my mind. Again, you're only going to see a maximum of 2 if you catch the tail end of the first display. So I think 30 seconds does seem reasonable.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd. Anyone else? Hearing no further comment or request for comments, at 6:12, I am going to close the public hearing and open the action item for recommendation to the Township Board on proposed zoning ordinance amendment to section 19.06 F1 to reduce the amount of time messages or images can be displayed on electronic message signs. I'll open the floor to any further discussion or debate. It sounds as if 30 seconds seems to be agreeable to most everyone on the planning commission. So the chair will entertain any
Chair.
discussion or a motion to that effect. Mr. Straub.
At least for purposes of getting it before us for discussion, I would move motion number 1 in our packet, page 5 of 33 of the packet. Favorable recommendation. The text of it is Planning Commission forwards a favorable recommendation to the Township Board for the proposed text amendment to section 19.06 F1 of the zoning ordinance, in parentheses, electronic message signs, dated September 10, 2025. Establishing a minimum message duration of 30 seconds for the following reasons. 1, the amendment is compatible with master plan. 2, the amendment complies with state and federal law. 3, the amendment aligns township standards with regional practice and is more enforceable.
Thank you, Mr. Straub. Do we have support?
Support.
Mr. Smith supports. We have a motion on the floor to provide the Township Board with a favorable recommendation, reading as the Planning Commission forwards a favorable recommendation to the Township Board for the proposed text amendment to sections 19.06 parent F parent 1 of the zoning ordinance, open parenthesis, electronic message signs dated September 10th, 2025, close parenthesis, establishing a minimum message duration of 30 seconds for the following reasons. Selecting all that apply, the amendment is compatible with the master plan. The amendment complies with state and federal law. The amendment aligns with township standards with regional practice and is more enforceable. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
You may.
Fletcher had given you two resolutions, Resolution A and Resolution B,
Yes.
and there's no mention in that motion of adopting either resolution.
They are labeled as motion 1 and motion 2 for favorable, unfavorable, or motion 3 for postponement.
Right, I got motion 1, I got it word for word, but nowhere in that motion does it say adopting resolution A. Because there's two resolutions, he gave you one for 30 seconds and he gave you another resolution for 1 minute.
That is correct. Okay,
So should we incorporate a resolution adoption in that motion, or do you want to do it separate?
Well, he puts in there in motion 1, in parentheses, to pick 30 seconds, comma, 1 minute. There, I don't see a resolution in here.
No.
It's in the following pages.
And you are forwarding a resolution to the board of trustees, so it really needs to be mentioned somewhere.
And so, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Straugh.
I would like to modify my motion. And maybe I get what Ms. Miller is talking about. Maybe the cleanest place to put it after reason number 3, the amendment aligns township standards with regional franchise for more enforceable. As presented in resolution A. Because yes, that's the actual, resolution A is the actual text change that the township board would be asked to act upon.
Do it.
Without Mr. Smith, without going through the entire voting process again, are you comfortable supporting the favorable recommendation with the modification just mentioned by Mr. Stroud?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Support stands.
And Ms. Miller, will this satisfy your concerns?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now, back to where we were. Does anyone have any further discussion or comment regarding the motion 1 recommendation before we bring it to a vote? Hearing none, we will call to the question on motion number 1. Favorable recommendation. The Planning Commission forwards a favorable recommendation to the Township Board for the proposed text amendment to section 19.06, parent F, parent 1, for the zoning ordinance, open parenthesis, electronic message signs dated September 10th, 2025, close parenthesis, establishing a minimum message duration of 30 seconds for the following reasons. Selecting all that apply. 1, the amendment is compatible with the master plan. 2, the amendment complies with state and federal law. 3, the amendment aligns with township standards with regional practice and is more enforceable. Item number 4, as presented in resolution A by the township planning representative. Bringing this to a voice vote. Mr. Smith, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith votes yes. Ms. Abbott, how do you vote?
Yes,
Ms. Abbott votes yes. Ms. Hurd, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd votes yes. Ms. Meyer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Meyer votes yes. Mr. Barry, how do you vote, sir?
I vote yes.
Mr. Barry votes yes. Mr. Straub, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Straub votes yes. The chair votes yes. The motion number 1, favorable recommendation, is passed unanimously. Moving on to the second item on our action items list, the election of Planning Commission Vice Chair and whatever other officers may be required.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Straub.
assuming that she is willing to vacate her position as secretary, I would nominate Commissioner Hurd as vice chair.
Planning Commissioner Hurd has been nominated as vice chair, assuming she is willing to vacate her position as secretary. Do we have support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Abbott. In a situation like this, without further discussion, we will call a voice vote. All in favor of, well, before I call a vote, Ms. Hurd, are you willing to vacate your position as secretary?
Yes, I'd be honored to serve as vice chair.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd. Bringing this to a voice vote, which is, I believe, required for officers. Mr. Straub, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Abbott?
Yes,
The chair votes yes. Ms. Hurd, you are now the vice chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now
Chair?
we have a problem. Mr.
I nominate Commissioner Mayor to fill the vacancy of Planning Commission Secretary.
Ms. Meyer has been nominated to fill the position of Planning Commission Secretary, and this position will be filled for the duration or till it will be the January 1 meeting of the Planning Commission in 2026. Do we have support?
Support.
Ms. Abbott supports. Ms. Meyer, are you willing to accept the position of secretary?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Going to repeating our voice vote. Mr. Smith, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Abbott?
yes,
Ms. Abbott votes yes. Our new vice chair, Ms. Hurd?
Yes,
Ms. Hurd votes yes. Mr. Straub?
Yes.
Mr. Straub votes yes. Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Mr. Barry votes yes, and the chair votes yes. Ms. Meyer, you are now our secretary. And thank you and welcome aboard. Okay, moving right along. Our next, we have nothing on our discussion items list. So approval of the Planning Commission of the August 26, 2025 meeting. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, changes, or corrections to the Planning Commission meeting minutes of Tuesday, August 26th?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Straub?
I did not catch this myself, but it's been pointed out to me that on the first page and kind of the letterhead or whatever you'd want to call it. My last name is misspelled.
Oh,
How long is that?
I don't know.
as our recording secretary, can you give us advice on who we might petition to change Mr. Straub's name to the correct spelling? Thank you.
Are you saying change this name to the spelling, or should we change his name to Straub?
No,
Easier to change it on here.
anything further?
I had a edit on page 27 of 33. Under number 11, the Township Board of Trustees update. Number 3, under that, the Board of Trustees had a strategic planning session. Since these minutes were from the 26th and the planning session wasn't to the 27th, I would make that the Board of Trustees will hold a strategic planning session.
Good catch.
Yeah, good catch, Ms. Meyer. Any further corrections? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt the the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission Tuesday, August 26th as amended.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Smith. Do we have support?
I'll support Mayor.
Ms. Meyer supports. It has been moved and supported to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission Tuesday, August 26th as amended. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is correspondence. Mr. Fletcher, do you have any correspondence for us this evening, sir?
No correspondence this evening.
No correspondence. Thank you, sir. Next item, Ms. Abbott, the Township Board of Trustees update, please.
I wanted to invite you all. We're having trash cleanup day, October 25th from 9 a.m. to noon. Bring your trash, but come and volunteer. Reach out to Karen Nolte if you can volunteer some time, even if it's just an hour to help out. On September 16th, the board voted to not allow short-term rentals at this time. They have asked that the planning department work with the planning commission to update the zoning language to make it clear that short-term rentals are not allowed. It's not really clear in there. There is also going to be a request for the planning department to work with the planning commission to update the definition of a bed and breakfast so that people understand that short-term rentals are not the same as a bed and breakfast. The board reviewed the contract draft with Waste Management for single hauler. There will be more on that to come.
Thank you, Ms. Abbott. Ms. Abbott, one question that I have. I know we have requested to the board in the past that they adopt a clear definition of a short-term rental. Has that been done to your knowledge?
Well, I think that goes hand in hand with that. Yes, we're going to have the planning department work with the planning commission to come up with a definition. And within that definition, it will be stated that short-term rentals are not allowed. But we need to define that as well.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Mr. Straub.
Further to that question though, but in our July 22nd meeting, I think it was, we had three motions, and in reverse chronological order, there was our recommendation not to adopt ordinance 45 as it was written. Number two was our recommendation to allow short-term rentals in ag and commercial, and a lot of word changes required to do that. But the first thing that we dealt with in this topic in that meeting was the definition. It was modifying section 1. It showed up in the minutes of that meeting, I think. And I didn't make it to the last township board meeting a week ago, but I did watch it, and yeah, I didn't get anywhere in there where they dealt with that. They kind of dealt with it as a chunk, but we explicitly forwarded that onto them, that here's the definition that stands alone, regardless of what happens with the rest of this stuff, to try to avoid some of that confusion going forward. So I don't
I
know.
might not be remembering accurately, but we did work on this on September 8th. We did have a televised meeting, and I believe that
The working session on.
that working session, and that where we ended up on the 16th was a result of going through all of that on September 8th. And that some of it I really can't remember.
So our thought is at this point that the township board did not,
Right.
I shouldn't say didn't deal with, but did not act affirmatively on our recommendation for the definition of short-term rental. So
Correct.
that's still hanging out there.
I believe so, yes.
All right, thank you.
Members of the planning commission, any further questions for Ms. Abbott, Township Board of Trustees? Hearing none, members of the planning commission, what concerns might anyone have? I'm not calling any particular order or name, Mr.
Mr.
Straw.
Chair, this is a real picky point. First of all, I appreciate that staff is giving us copies of public hearing notifications, in our packet. It's a real good move, so we know that that did in fact happen, but my understanding is that we're only putting notices of public hearings in the paper and not our general agenda. Therefore, we didn't need to put in election of planning commission chair and vice chair because that was part of the meeting and not related to the public hearing. That's all. As I say, that's kind of a picky thing. The bigger thing to me is that, we're getting copies of those notices. That's helpful. Oh, the other thing I guess I would add in, if I still kind of have the floor, is the new chair runs a lot faster meeting than the old guy.
Anything further, Mr. Shaw?
No, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Other members of the planning commission? Hearing none. Mr. Rare, as direction of planning and zoning, do you have any comments for us this evening, sir?
In your packet is the August 2025 Planning Department report. There is a handful of updates here. The Dexter Gate Consumers Energy Project is finally complete. The Zoning Board of Appeals will be meeting October 7th for a handful of variances on Noah's Landing. And an update that I just learned today is that the Hudson Mills Metro Park pickleball courts will be opening up to the public in early October. August was an okay month for permits. I would say that September so far has surpassed the number of permits brought in last month. And then staff is working on a handful of active enforcements. One update from the previous board meeting is that the township will be working to remedy a dangerous building in Blight, North Lake Road.
Thank you, Mr. Raher. Ms. Moody?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At your meeting in October, our firm offers a training every year to our clients. And so, in talking to Mr. Rayer, that seemed October was the appropriate month to do it. I'd be curious, usually this training is the basics of planning and zoning and how to run an efficient meeting. However, if any of you would appreciate a deeper dive into a certain topic, we could structure the training for that. And it's generally me speaking for about 30 to 45 minutes with question and answer as we go.
Thank you. Further comments? Since our township supervisor is not present this evening, recording secretary, do you have any comments or concerns you could wish to share?
Thank you for entertaining suggestion. It just makes clarity.
I understand. Not an issue.
Then I have a question. If Megan has offered training to this board as part of their meeting, do you need a motion to accept that as part of your meeting? I'm not clear on that.
I would say no, because that would fall under the purview of the planning and zoning department. And the planning and zoning department has a free hand in inputting to the agenda of our meetings.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I just add that training is part of the retainer? So it's at no extra cost to the township.
I inferred that earlier. Yes. Does that satisfy your concerns, Ms. Miller?
It does.
Thank you. And unfortunately, some of us that evening will be only half here, because as soon as that meeting is over with, we are going to Frankenmuth for the retreat for the planning commission. I don't know what other members of the planning commission may be doing that, but your newly minted chair already has his reservations. And having said that, we will go to our second session of public comment. Sir, do you care to comment this evening?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Future agenda items, the October 28th Planning Commission meeting, Planning and Zoning Basics Training. That is already on the agenda, apparently. And that brings us to an adjournment. The chair, does anyone have anything further that they wish to share with the Planning Commission? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Move we adjourn. I'll second.
Been moved by Meyer, second by Straub to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? We're out of here.
I'll be at the